Hello everybody. In this video we're going to quickly, I hope it's going to be fast, we're going to extend this existing login API written in Python and Flask with a registration endpoint so that new users can register to the software that we're building, to the app that we're building. So let's run the Flask app just like this. A server is now running. And here's my request browser extension that I use to send requests. This is the login endpoint that we're contacting. And then we say we want to log in the user, Daniel, and password is super secret ! And when we send that request, it's unsupported media type. Why? The content type was not application JSON. Why? What about multi-part form data maybe? I already forgot what I implemented last time. Huh, okay. It seems that when I add the header content type application JSON, it suddenly works. Okay, but this is now the working login REST endpoint. And as a response, we get an authentication token that we from the front end can use for further requests. Okay, and if I enter a wrong password, for example, medium secret ! And send that request, then we get a unauthorized response and which says that the login failed. Awesome. That is good. But let's now add a register endpoint. Let me just copy all of that and add a register here, register. And let's remove all the GET requests that are accepted for register and login. I mean, we don't need that since we always want to post data to the server, and that it doesn't make sense to post data and use a GET request, in my opinion. Except if you want to get data from a database and you post a query or something like that. But in our case, it's completely unnecessary to use a GET request. Now let's rename the method to register. Trying to register. And here we get the request JSON. That's nice. Then we get the username and the password. And then we can create a new method, perform register or handle register. Handle register. Okay. And let's create that method somewhere down here. Handle register. What does that method accept? It accepts a username and a password. And now what we have to do is we basically have to access this database and edit the contents to add new users. Now, this is not straightforward, especially if the database is formatted like this and we can't really read it properly. So let me just check if we can make it somehow more readable. So whenever the user database is written, when the user database is written, wait, in which case is the user database even written now? Already forgot that. When a new access token is created. But I would like to store the user database in a pretty format, just so it's more so that it's easier to look at. Python JSON pretty print. use the indent parameter of JSON dump to specify how many spaces to indent by. Okay. JSON dumps, and then we can add indent. Okay, let's try that. Where are we using the dump method? We are using it up here. There it is. And let's add an indent equals 4 and see if that works. Now, let's try to log in using a super secret password. Send the request, response, access token is generated. Let's switch over to the database and reload it. And there we go. It is now pre-printed, and this is now much better to read. As you can see, each user has a password, a creation time, a status. That is just for demonstration purposes. So far, we actually only need the password and access token. The other ones were just created just for fun, because that is what most APIs at some point are going to use. But now that we are registering the user, we are doing the following. We need to open the database. Technically, we first need to check if the user already exists. Okay, let's try that. UserDB equals get UserDB. Then user exists, and we provide the UserDB and the username. And if the user exists, we return a bad error code. Which one though? We return, let's just do 401. User already exists, please log in 401. Let's see if that works. Let me restart the application and go to our requests tool. Let's call the register endpoint, and let's send Daniel and super secret. Send request. And there's an error in the logs. What is it? Trying to register. Error in app. Handle user exception. Handle register is not defined. Okay. So down here, this error. That is the error. Okay, that's because I used camel cases here. Handle register. Now it should work. Okay. Then let's go to the requests tool, rest it, and send the same request again. And let's see, it still doesn't work. The error reason is missing 2 required positional arguments, username and password. Why is it expecting positional arguments? Request get JSON, request get user, request JSON get password. And then handle register. Okay, here we have to pass as input the username and the password, of course. Yeah, now we can restart the app and see what happens. Send request. And there we go. User already exists. Please log in. So now we have a working user check that checks whether user already exists. Awesome. Then let's try to, what is the next thing that we can do? If the user doesn't exist, then we do the following. We have to open the database and add a property. Oops. Open. Oh, there's not yet a method for that. How do we open the database? I loaded it here using JSON loads. How did we do it in the generate and store token method where we generate an access token? We get the user DB. Let me just copy that. That is already, we already get the user DB here. And the user DB is JSON. It's just a JSON string, I guess. No, it's loaded JSON. And then what do we do with that? Okay, then we can access that JSON like a Python dictionary. So here the user DB is being accessed for the entry username, which returns all the user's properties. Let's have a look at the database. So every user is keyed using or is identified using the username, obviously. Technically, one could also do some hash or UUID or something like that, but we just keep it simple and use the username as an identifier. And then if we access the JSON at this username, then we get all the user's properties. Okay. But I think we could even simplify that and not have to care about opening the database every time. So let's do the following. I thought we might be able to get the user properties directly without having to open the database, and we wrap a method around those actions that we can reuse. But we have to get the entire database because we're updating the entire database afterward. We can't just edit the properties in place. We have to edit them in place, but we have to know about the entire database to be able to save back the entire contents of the database. Yeah, that's of course a downside of having a text-based database. You wouldn't have to do this with SQL, for example. UserDB for the username. And what do we do here? That user doesn't exist yet. So maybe we have to create a new element somehow first. UserDB put. Can we put something there? Or push. We can push something probably. Let's try to push something. Hello. Let's push this. I have no idea if this is even valid Python. I'm not a Python expert. User already exists, of course. So let's register the user Banana Boy. Banana Boy wants to register at my application. Do I accept him? No. He gets the internal server error. Register. Internal server error. Yeah, and that is because the dict object has no attribute push. So how to add to dict Python. Then let's open that and see how to do that. There's an update method. Okay. That's it already? Okay, let's try that. Let's go back here, update, and then we update this with the username and the password. I would assume that, that both of those are variables that can be understood here. Let's see. So let's register a new user, and Banana Boy doesn't give up. User. Ah, no, that's the authentication part. We're providing the data via headers here. User. No, what did we do? We used a post request. Ah, right. We used the content type content JSON or something like this. No, application JSON. Application JSON. And then down here, user Banana Boy. And then password is bananas. Okay, and let's send the request and see what happens. Internal server error. Banana Boy is still not able to register. It's my mission to finally accept Banana Boy today. What's the error? Probably some syntax error. The view function, let me highlight it for you. The view function for register did not return a valid response. Oh, okay. That is here. Return successfully registered username. And this is our response. Let's format it also, and that should work. Let's restart the app and see what happens if we resend the request. Send request, and it's okay. Successfully registered user Banana Boy. Now the database contents will not be updated. As you can see, I've refreshed the database. There is no Banana Boy in here. That is because we updated the database in memory, but we didn't write it back to the file. So let's write the user database. We have already created a method for that. And see what happens. Let me restart the app again. And let's go to the requests tool, send the same request, and this time successfully registered user Banana Boy. And let's refresh the database. And there he is, Banana Boy. But of course, we only so far have an entry with a password, and it doesn't match the expected format at all. So we want to have this format username, and then under that, there's a set of properties. So username, yeah, how do we do it? So we have the username, and the username has a couple of properties. So let's add those properties here. First of all, we have a password, and the password is password. And then let's just test something and test. I just want to see if the formatting is valid before I overcomplicate things and then find out that it doesn't work. Let me remove this Banana Boy user for now because I want to re-register him. Let's send the request. And there's an error. Of course there's an error. And that's why I didn't do everything at once. Expecting property name enclosed in double quotes. Okay, what does that mean? We have this username property, which is a variable. Then under that, there's the password property, which is this variable. And then there's the test property. I don't yet see the issue. Let me just look up what this Python dictionary page here says. And maybe the issue is that this can't handle nested dictionaries. Or can it? Let's simplify this even further by removing all of this junk here, and let's just save the username and the password. And let's re-register, and we still have an error. What is the error? Expecting property name enclosed in double quotes. What if I remove this keyword here and just do I think it is expecting a full string property here and not expecting a nested property. Yeah, so the username gets a property that is called user properties, and that is another dictionary that we are going to create up here. User properties dictionary, and the user properties dictionary contains the following keys: password, and it contains a status, which is not really used right now. So no, let's just throw away all the stuff we don't use. We throw away the status thing. We don't need it. That was just for fun. And then let's remove, these commas at the end of the JSON here. Okay, so we have a status, and let's keep a creation time, but I will put a default value of 2025 June 1 blah blah blah, just to make sure that we don't forget updating this with an actual time. And yeah, that looks good now. Sorry, everybody. Okay, now we have the user's properties set up, and I would expect this to work. Sending a request, which result do we get? None, because there's a syntax error. What is the syntax error? Oh. Huh? No, I somehow exited tmux, so how do I get... Oh god. tmux attach running session. tmux dt session ID dt, and it's definitely 0. It's not. What the hell? tmux? Where did all my stuff go? What did I do? I did nothing wrong. tmux ls. There it is. tmux attach session -t1. No? Something is wrong. tmux attach t session ID. tmux attach t. Okay, that is the wrong session, I think. Exit. There we go. We're back. Okay, sorry for that interruption. There was a syntax error somewhere here. What is the syntax error? I mean, in this dictionary, we have keys and values, and they are comma separated. Just as it is done here, maybe we should have a space here. Let's just see if that changes anything. Unmatched parenthesis. Oh, it's this one. It was just a closing parenthesis. Yeah, now it's running again. Okay, let's send the request. It's okay, registered user banana boy. And let's refresh the database. And there he is. That's nice. Okay, so now we can register users, but of course, the creation time is wrong. So let me just look up how to properly generate the current time in Python. So why do we need a creation time? The creation time is basically just the time at which the user signed up. It's technically completely unnecessary. You don't need it for your login in your application. But when you want to evaluate statistics, usage statistics, when you want to find out which days most users registered, it's just nice to have a creation time. So for many properties in a database that you store, it's always nice to have a time that indicates when something was created. It's technically not necessary, but it's nice. Okay, Python get time string or timestamp, get timestamp. But let's make sure it is a formatted date time. Date time now. Are there a couple of standard formats that we can use? Format, let's see. Skip to format codes. Okay, this looks as if we would have to manually format all of that. Let's try to find a quick search result. Get current time Zulu UTC time. Date time now, time zone UTC. Yeah, that is the format that I want. Just with a Z at the end for Zulu. That indicates the time zone. And we can use this date time string down here. Hey, where was it? There was someone commenting. Short answer. The reason the Z is not included is because datetime now and even datetime UTC now return time zone native date times. That is to say, date times with no time zone information associated. To get a time zone aware datetime, you need to pass a time zone as an argument to datetime now. It doesn't feel that nice. So let's just forget about that time zone stuff. I mean, we want to keep things very simple. And let's just use this. Where's my cursor? I'm right now playing around with using Vim keys in browser. I recently uploaded a video on that. So if you're interested, have a look at it. That's why I am trying to not use my mouse right now. Date time. That is it. Let's enter visual mode and highlight all of that. Press Y to yank it. And now I can go back to the terminal. And then I should be able to just copy that. Or to just paste that like this. Oh, worked. Nice. So I yanked data from the keyboard using the keyboard from the browser and pasted it in Vim here. Quite nice. Okay, then let's define a new method. Get current time string and just paste that here. Of course, we have to return that date time. And then in the creation time, we call get current date time string. And let's see. We want to register a new user. And Banana Boy is going to freak out. Now also Banana Girl is going to sign up to the application. And her password is got some bananas. And Banana Girl is registering to the application, sending the request. Of course, it doesn't work. Why? Why does it not work? Probably because I need to import the datetime. So let's just do import datetime and restart the Flask application. And now Banana Girl can finally register. Yes, there she is. And let's have a look at the database. And there she is. Got some bananas, and there's a creation time that does not really match the same format that we used for the other users, but it's the first creation time entry that is genuinely generated by code. So let me just try to delete that entire database and see if the login system works so far. So now it's an empty file, okay? It's completely empty file. Let's run the application, and what do? We first try to register a user. Banana Girl, got some bananas. Send request. Doesn't work because there's an error, as I would have expected. And that is because somewhere the code tries to decode the JSON that is stored in the database. Probably here, JSON loads. And that doesn't work. And maybe we should try to load the JSON. Try to load the JSON database. How do we do that best? Let's try to let's try to load the user DB, and if an error is caught, then how does try catch work in Python? This different coloring indicates that it doesn't work like that. Python try catch. Try except. It's try except. Okay. Try except. And then there is userdb JSON loads. So we are loading the userdb. It is failing because the userdb is broken, it's empty. Okay, and in this case, we want to save the new file, create a new userdb, and save it and return it. So let's do userdb is equal to new JSON or something. Does that work? I have no idea. Python new JSON. Probably we have to do something like new dictionary or create a new dictionary somehow. Okay. I think we can do just this. This is a new dictionary. And then we do in the finally block, we return the userdb because in this case it's definitely set. Okay, so we're trying to load the database. If it doesn't work, we create a new empty database and we return that. All right, let me just close all of that. And let's try to send the first registration request from Banana Girl to sign up to our completely empty, userdb. Yes, it's completely empty. So let's send the request. She's signed up. Okay. Let's reload that. And there she is, Banana Girl, password creation time in proper JSON formatting. Awesome. Now we can also sign up Banana Boy. And his password is 12345 banana. And let's send the request, and Banana Boy should also be signed up now. And there he is. Nice, that works really well. And it's also quite fast. So if I send the same request again, then it says user already exists, please log in. Okay, let's try to log in that user. Banana Boy, 12345 banana. Let's log in. And it says okay, and there is Banana Boy's access token, which can be used for future requests. And let's check that in the database. And indeed, Banana Boy now has an access token because he logged in. And now he can use this access token to send requests and while being already authenticated. Banana Girl does not yet have an access token, so let's also give her one by logging her in. Log in Banana Girl. Let's first say or assume that she enters the wrong password in the front end. Let's just say this is her password. Let's send a request, and there it says unauthorized, login failed, wrong password. Nothing has changed in the database. Yep. And then last but not least, let's let her log in successfully. And what was her password? Let's look it up. Got some bananas. And let's send that request. She's logged in. This is the access token. So let's refresh the database, and there we go. So we have now two users. Both are logged in and both have an access token. Of course, the password is clear text. Yes, we should hash it. I am already expecting all the comments here, but this is how to properly illustrate it. This is the easiest way. All right, this is our system that we built, and I hope you enjoyed this video. I really did. Let me just put that here. response. Okay. Awesome. I was just thinking if I should say something, but I don't think there's much more to say. If you enjoyed this video and if you did learn something, I mean, this was a very, very simple and straightforward video. We just added a registration endpoint. But for small user accounts, this is very responsive. It works well. If you're interested, please leave a comment, a like, and I would appreciate if you told me what you want to see next. Maybe we could add the password hashing. Or we could add a password forgotten option or something like that. In any case, I wish you all a good time, enjoy your life, and see you next time. Bye bye.